Hey, how cool is it? This guy's in the studio. He could be the next mayor of Toronto, Mayoral Candidate John Tory.
Yes.
How are you both this morning?
Really
Very
good to see you
good.
again.
Excellent. Nice to be here.
You were on the show a few years back. You were doing some other political stuff, but here you are again.
And I've had a radio career in between.
Yes,
They
you
taught me how
have.
to do that.
Yeah.
So
So
we'll talk
Showing you
about
they can
radio
teach lawyers to do anything.
What's that?
They can teach lawyers to do anything, including radio shows.
There you
That's
go.
right, apparently.
Before we get started, I got to ask a difficult question. Do you have any vices or videos that are going to pop up anytime in the future?
None that I'm
you
going to
should-
discuss with you.
No? Okay. So nothing's going to overshadow your
Let's put it
role
this way.
as mayor. if
I
you
am
ever
not going to be
become
getting a lot of invitations to the Jimmy Kimmel show because
No.
I'm pretty boring. So,
He's a golfer. It's not very exciting.
yeah, you're a golfer too, Ed.
I am.
Yeah,
I am.
love you already. This
Yeah.
is good. This is really good.
We got to get out and play around sometime.
You two have seemed to have bonded like right out the box. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Well, I mean, because she's a golfer and she's a sensible person, and I gather just from sort of the Vox Populi that, they want more of her and less of you. I mean, I'm not trying to put too fine a point on it, but those
guy
listeners who are
is
listening,
smart.
they will know what I'm talking
I
about
like
here.
this guy. He knows what he's talking
All right,
about.
okay. Let's talk about the SmartTrack.
I just think it is really important. I mean, I think the traffic and transit situation in Toronto is a nightmare.
Yeah.
And, people are sitting in traffic right now, and we haven't done anything about it. We haven't built a lot of transit. We should have been building a new subway station every year for the last 20 years, one each year. We've done very little of that.
Yeah.
And the traffic gets worse and worse instead of better because they just won't take measures to make it better,
Right.
like enforcing the law. So SmartTrack is something that's going to make up for the difference. It takes principally existing GO train lines and electrifies them, and it puts emission-free electric trains on there and puts 22 stops in right from Etobicoke, actually Mississauga, all the way to Markham, right through the whole city. And it's going to make a huge difference. And because you don't have to put the tracks down, they're mostly already there,
Yeah.
it's done in 7 years. You will have that available, 22 stops on a line right through the city in 7 years.
And how much is that going to cost taxpayers?
$8 billion. But you know what? I mean, that sounds like a scary number. But the bottom line is we have to make these investments. We
Yeah.
can't sort of sit back and wring our hands and say, oh my goodness, that's a lot of money. It is.
Yeah.
But, other cities have been spending it a little bit each year, and it doesn't sound so big, and we didn't do that. So now we got to make up for lost time.
City's not getting any smaller.
It is getting much
Well,
bigger.
I like
2
the
million
idea
more
of it
people
happening
coming here.
quickly.
On that note, let's talk a little bit about Gridlock. What are your plans aside from that, to fix that? Because I know you talked about parking enforcement and things of that nature.
Well, I've talked about construction,
Yeah.
Melanie, for example. I mean, we allow the roads in one neighborhood of the city to be torn up all at the same time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just basic lack of consideration or incompetence. I'm not sure which.
Yeah.
We, for example, last weekend, chose that weekend to close the subway down for much needed repairs when that was the weekend of the marathon and
That's
all the
right.
streets were closed.
Yes.
And I'm saying we're going to stop that. You could get a 12-year-old to do a spreadsheet for you, to figure out how to coordinate all this stuff so you're doing the right thing at
Yeah.
the right time.
Yeah.
And so these all sound pretty basic. They are.
Yeah.
But I think if you just decide you're going to put the people first, then you will be able to make a big difference on moving the traffic along. And, I just think they're pretty simple things. It's not a magic wand.
Yeah, we've had this conversation on the air. I mean, you sound like exactly what JJ has said in the past. It doesn't take rocket science to plan properly.
So he makes more sense than you say he makes.
All right, so we want to talk a little bit about the arts and culture too. Now, you
Yeah.
said in your platform that you want to promote Toronto as a music city. What does that mean for you?
Well, for example, I mean, this city has really not got its act together when it comes to having large outdoor music festivals, and there's reasons for it. I mean, it's always a reason that has to do with sort of wherever you might have it in Downsview Park, the neighbors will complain and so on.
Right.
But we're missing out. I mean, we have a huge collection of talent in the city, both performing talent and production talent and concert staging talent.
That's right.
But we're not really having the kind of events. We have some great events like the Jazz Festival and so on.
Yeah.
But we could do much better and make this into sort of a mecca, for live music of all kinds, but including major outdoor venues, but it doesn't happen. Right. And part of the reason it doesn't happen is because of the sort of red tape at City Hall. And we used to do that to the film industry.
Yeah.
And when we started treating them right, it developed into a gigantic industry. It
Huge.
spawned TIFF, which is
Yeah.
a global, kind of attraction.
course.
So I just like to do the same for music, to recognize the talent we have here and to make sure this becomes a place people come as a destination to celebrate music.
Love it.
And I think it's going to be
What
good.
other ideas
Love
do you have in a recent debate you had earlier on in the week?
Which one of the dozens was that?
Yeah. You were talking with the other electees or candidates there about making it a great city, Toronto a great city as opposed to a good city. What other things would you do to make it a
I
great
think,
city?
what doesn't allow me to say it's great now, and I think it's really, really, really good, good, but I think what'll make it great is if we deal with questions of lingering unemployment. 20% unemployment among young people.
Yep.
If we deal with some of the people that live in neighborhoods who are very isolated right now, I mean, they're people oftentimes who are newcomers to the country.
Yep.
They came here with, say, experience as a physiotherapist and were told there'd be a job, and 5 years, 6 years later, they're still waiting to get qualified here.
Right.
And we've got to come to grips with that. I mean, these people are dramatically underemployed. It means they become isolated in their neighborhoods. They can't provide for their families. So when I talk about it being a great city, we fix the traffic. That's pretty granular. I said last night at the debate, we also should maybe get around to being able to accept a debit card to buy tokens, which you can only do at 3 subway stations. I mean, it's 2014, folks.
Yeah.
So, it's things like that, but the more important things are about the isolation of people, about the underemployment of people, about, making sure we look after people who are falling behind. And that will allow us to look ourselves in the mirror and say we got a great city going here. Because we really do have all the right elements. We just have to do a few things to kind of make sure we're looking after each other. Are you
saying that Rob Ford wasn't able to make this a great city? Is that what you're saying right now, John Tory?
Well, no, you said it, and I'll just nod. I'll just agree with you.